Andy Reid downplayed all the naysayers, saying that the Kansas City's window is closing for the dynasty. Colin was also one of those naysayers, saying that the winning is over. Do you think that the dynasty is continuable if they win the Super Bowl this year?
Well, hold on. I don't even think that's obviously if they win the Super Bowl this year, the dynasty is in progress. I want to focus more on, listen, I think it's well established how much I adore and love Colin Cowherd. His Chiefs takes. Now, I mostly blame J-Mac. I think that like the proximity to J-Mac's historically bad Chiefs takes have somehow, there's been an osmosis of take that has impacted Colin. But they've been to 3 straight Super Bowls. They had the best record in the NFL last year.
They got to at least not go to the last one, right? They got to. They made it to the last Super Bowl. Like, I think they have to at least not make a Super Bowl for the dynasty to be over.
Well, I would think so.
Over. Right.
Yeah. I and by the way, like, when we talk about dynasties in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers is probably the most famous one. They won 2 Super Bowls. They then went 2 years without making the without winning it, without making the Super Bowl. And then they won 2 more. We look at that as one dynasty. The Patriots is an interesting one. I don't consider the Pats one continuous dynasty. But if you do, it went like this. Won a Super Bowl, missed the playoffs, then won 2 Super Bowls. Then, gosh, I'm going to have to do this off the top of my head. 06 going for the three-peat, lost their first playoff game. I'm sorry, wait. 05 going for the three-peat. It's going to be hard to do off the top of my head, but I'm going to try. Lost their first playoff game. 06 lost in round 2. 07 lost the Super Bowl. 08 missed the playoffs. 09 and 2010 lost before the Super Bowl. 2011 lost in the Super Bowl. 2012, 2013 lost before the Super Bowl. 14 won the Super Bowl. 15 lost in conference title game. 16 won the Super Bowl. 17 lost the Super Bowl. 18 won the Super Bowl. 19 lost in round 1. So if we want to do that as one long dynasty, then it's going to be impossible to say the Chiefs dynasty is over. If you consider the Patriots one long dynasty, the Patriots went a decade without winning a Super Bowl. The Chiefs have gone 16 months. And so that part's just ridiculous. It's just fundamentally ridiculous to say I'm declaring it dead when the Chiefs are in the midst of, or just completed, I guess you would say, the greatest 3-year stretch in the history of the league. And they have been to 3 consecutive Super Bowls and 7 straight AFC championship games. It's now, if your take is they're just not good enough anymore, it's a bold take. Maybe, there's no evidence for it, but if it's just your gut feeling, then so be it. Here is what I find the most, Demonze, ridiculous about this Chiefs fatalism stuff. And then we can move on. Every team in the AFC that is chasing them, if this year they have the exact season Kansas City had last year, best record in last undefeated team, best record in the NFL, beat the Chiefs in the AFC playoffs, make the Super Bowl, lose the Super Bowl, it will be considered evidence that that team is getting closer and the best season any of those teams have had in this era. The
100%.
Chiefs having that year is considered evidence of implosion. But I am here to tell you, if the Baltimore Ravens are the final or the Buffalo Bills or the Cincinnati Bengals or the Los Angeles Chargers or, God forbid, the Denver Broncos or any of those teams, if they are the last undefeated team, if they are 15-1 with the 1 seed locked up, they then beat the Chiefs in the playoffs and then run into, I don't care who, call it Philly. Or no, because Philly then would go back to back. That complicates things. Call it the Lions and get blown out in the Super Bowl. If that were to happen, and then I were to go on TV and be like, this year was the end of that team. They're done now. It's time for a new chapter. People would say, that dude, you're just a hater. And this is also an element of a lot of my Mahomes frustration and I'm going to talk about this on the TV show today, in how he's discussed. Do you agree, Demonze, that all Lamar, Josh, and Burrow, the year they had last year, elevated them, even if not in their actual ranking, but people elevated them, their standing, and that people felt their seasons combined with the year Mahomes had narrowed the gap for best quarterback, and in some people flipped it. You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
That's like conventional wisdom. Okay. And this is where the point that I make, that Mahomes is not judged against his peers, I think is crystallized. Let's pretend Patrick this year had any of their seasons last year. Okay? Let's start with Joe. Patrick puts up insane numbers and the Chiefs miss the playoffs. Does that help, or does anyone be like, okay, that helped, like Patrick's back? No.
Dynasty's definitely over.
Okay. So, all right. Let's do Lamar's year. Patrick puts up insane numbers. The Chiefs are a good but not great seed. They're the 3 seed. And for the first time in his career, he does not make a conference championship game because he loses in round 2 to one of the other rival quarterbacks. Does that help or hurt Patrick's standing?
It would hurt him.
It would hurt him. All right. Let's do Josh. Patrick wins league MVP. Team has a really good record. They get the 2 seed. And then to go back to the Super Bowl, doesn't come through at the end, and Josh beats him.
Yeah.
Is anybody then being like, okay, Patrick has reclaimed it, or they're like, oh, MVP be damned, Josh beat him. Now, do the flip side for any of those guys, all 3 of them, Demonze. Give them Patrick's year last year. They have mediocre stats, but lead the league in game-winning drives and comebacks. And he beats 2 of those guys en route. I'm sorry. Those guys are the 1 seed and beat Patrick to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Imagine if I then went on TV and was like, yeah, but his Lamar's touchdown to interception ratio wasn't that impressive. Yeah. I'm actually dinging him. It's just insane.
Double standard.
And so I know I'm the Kansas City guy. I know I have the tattoo that I still don't know how to show on camera. I still don't know what I'm supposed to do here. It's just a disaster. There we go. I don't even know what I'm. There we go.
Everybody just hates greatness, man.
Well, it's just, here's the thing. it's just boring. It's just boring. And I also like just one other thing, because what has become very in vogue, and Bruce says it a lot, and he and I talked about this, not like to have like a talk about it, but discussed it on the air the other day, which is because it's become very in vogue to say something along the lines of like, oh, Mahomes is doing Brady's career in reverse, where Brady in the beginning won but didn't have the stats, and Mahomes, and then later in his career, had the crazy numbers. But it's just inaccurate. And here's what I mean. Mahomes early and every year of his career, except the last first 5 years, won and had MVP caliber stats. And the last 2 years, he's won, but he hasn't had the crazy numbers until the playoffs, right? But this idea that Tom Brady post 2007 was just year in, year out, this statistical monster, it's just not true. So Tom Brady, 2007, had what at that point the greatest quarterback season ever. He then misses 2008 due to injury. 2009, Tom Brady's team was 10-6, and he had 28 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and they lost their first playoff game. Then 2010, he had one of the greatest statistical seasons ever, 36 touchdowns, 4 picks. And 2011, he was in line with it, 39 touchdowns, 12 picks. And then 2012, it's down to a 98 passer rating. And 2013, 25 touchdowns, 11 picks, and an 87 rating. That's in 2013. And then he obviously, 2014, they win the Super Bowl. 2015, he has an all-time, 2015, 16, 17, all-time stats years where he has a combined, doing the math on the fly, 96 touchdowns, 15 picks, a 108 rating over the course of 3 years. But then the very next year, 2018, they go 11-5. He has 29 touchdowns, 11 picks, but they win the Super Bowl. 2019, 24 touchdowns, 8 picks, an 88 rating, and leaves the Patriots, and then goes on the sick run in Tampa. The point I'm making is this. Even peak Brady had these seasons, like the season where it's like, oh, 29 touchdowns, 11 picks, 24 touchdowns, 8 picks, 25 touchdowns, 11 picks. It was not every single year statistical excellence. It was every single year win the division, make the playoffs, and it is at the tail end of his Patriots tenure, every single year make a conference championship game. But we've got to be honest about what real expectations are, and we've got to be honest about what the guys who are allegedly in Patrick's league, if Patrick had the season they just had and they just had the season Patrick just had, how would we view it? That's all I'm saying.